John Beaudin, Rock History Music, Friday Night Live. Our daughter Danica's having a rough night tonight, so Shannon needs to be with her. I said, well, I'll be with her. And she said, well, I'm not going to do the live broadcast by myself. It's kind of your thing. So here we are, Friday Night Live, talking about albums that disappointed you. Man, there have been a lot. Really? There's been a lot. In my time, that albums that you think you love somebody, you love something, they let you down. You know what I mean? That's what happens. Basically, that's what happens. You have you have trust with an artist. Really, that's what it is. You have that artist, they're with you all the time. They give you music, they inspire you, the lyrics come up and you go, I wouldn't have thought of that. Or you're a guitarist and the person comes up with something, you go, man, that's crazy. I never heard that in my life before. So all of a sudden you garner more trust with an artist. But an artist will peak. There'll be that point. Hello from Nova Scotia. Hey, Mark, how you doing, buddy? I'll get to your other comments in a second, but you get that inspiration. They're your muse. They have their own, of course. And all of a sudden an album comes out and you go, what? Huh? What? Like that Garth Brooks experiment. I never liked Garth Brooks of any of it, Chris Gaines thing. People go, what, do we have you want to grow, but we have a saying in radio is don't confuse the audience. When you turn on that box, and I was a program director for a while, for a couple of years, for 2.5 years. And when you turn on that radio, you better deliver what you've promised. An artist sometimes is the same way. I mean, Boston 1 and 2. I don't even know if I have it here. I think I might. Yeah, there it is. This famous album. Oops. Oh, look, you can see right through it because of the green screen. Ooh, that's kind of wild. I love this album. And they kept the formula, basically kept the formula. Michael Jackson's Bad is the same thing. They said, let's do Thriller, but more of Thriller. And they had more of those little eons, hiccupy kind of gimmicky things that Michael Jackson did. All of a sudden you're going, okay, it was okay on Thriller, but you're doing a lot more of that. I'm going, no, we don't want more of that. You know what? That almost started to ruin the last album, but it didn't. It worked on the last album, but we didn't want more of that stuff for Bad, even though Bad had like 9 singles or something. It was insane. So that's the thing. You confuse, you can do Don't Look Back and give them something exactly a carbon copy of the last one, or you can think you're doing a carbon copy from Thriller to Bad when you're really just adding, well, he was tired. I mean, Bad, the song itself, Dirty Diana, I thought they were terrible songs. And I was a big Michael Jackson fan. I really liked Michael Jackson. So I had a list, and I don't know where I put it. I'm going to have to email it to myself. So let's see what you guys think. Tusk, to many, was a disappointing album. I liked it because I liked the journey of it as much as I loved Rumors. There's a few, before I get to your comments, there's a few that I picked up from the record collection. Oh, I loved Endless Flight by Leo Sayer. Loved it. Jeff Porcaro's on it. Loved it. A little while later, this came out by and I liked it, but I didn't love it. It was the debut from Prism. A lot of you Americans might not know, but the debut from Prism. This is not the debut. This is the follow-up. See Forever Eyes. A lot of folks went, they're getting a little schmaltzy. Okay, this is another one. Gary Wright, Dreamweaver. Everyone loved Dreamweaver, right? And a couple of years later, a lot of folks, look, you can see right through it. That's wild. Didn't like that one. But I don't know. When I love an artist, it takes a lot for me not to like them. Victim of Love is a great example by Elton John. When that disco album came out, that was the big one for me. Not when he became more middle of the road in the 80s with Little Genie at 21 and 33, the album. I mean, there was some good stuff on that album. But I gulped a little bit. But I tried to like Victim of Love and I just couldn't. I went, no, this is just. But interestingly enough, I like it more now than I ever did, which still isn't a lot. Melody R, who's part of our Patreon. Hello. Thank you. By the way, if you ever want to support us, there's a link to PayPal because we're trying to build this big computer because, when you do this kind of work, a computer will last 5, 6, 7 years. And ours is already on its 7th year. And we need to buy another one. And thanks to your donations, we've reached over half our goal. Thank you very much. And to buy this new computer so we could get working a little bit faster. And the other computer is really slow. That's the thing too, right? And its monitor is going. So there's links in the description of this website. You can do PayPal, which obviously is our favorite. You can do Patreon, join our Patreon, or else buy a t-shirt. So Melody's part of that. Thanks, Melody. Mark Eisner. Hello from Nova Scotia. Let me think now. Yeah. Disappointing albums, right? You can't forget those because, man, you buy that, especially in high school with the little money that we had, whether we had a job or not, and then you open it up because there's, it's not like now you can preview an album before you listen to it. And back then I didn't have any record stores where you could take the vinyl and go into the little booth and listen to it. We didn't have any of those where I grew up. Darren says, Melody R, you made it out the starting gate. You're going to win the race. JP Milano says, hey, from Philly. Loved your Jason Chef interviews. I was just working on that tonight. Another thing, we ran out of hard drive space. We basically ran out of hard drive space. That's another thing I'm going, well, the donations are coming in. We're going to be able to we need a big hard drive, right? Because we have to back up our interviews. It's crazy. It's been a rough couple of months because YouTube threw us a curve with income. So that's what happens. Don't follow, says Tori Amos, American Doll Posse. KW Kid, hey brother and music fam. Hope all is well this Friday night. Thank you very much. Shannon's not here because our daughter's she's autistic. She's having a really rough night. Ronnie Parker, Kiss, the last album from 2012, Monster. Rockers 57, Grand Funk, Let Me Down. Born to Die, What Happened? Thank you for that. I'm interviewing Mark Farner at last. I don't know what happened last time. He wasn't there. I don't know. I think his manager, his publicist, I'm not even sure if I gave it to him. So we're going to do it on Tuesday. Ed says, hello from, how do you say that? Pennsylvania, but Richboro? Is it Richboro? Fleetwood Mac's Tusk. Oh my God. I was so disappointed. I'd saved my allowance. See, there you go. When you're young, we don't have that much money. You know what? There's no room for error, man. When you're young, you got $5. And before the partying stage, and that was hard, but by the time we got to the partying stage, a lot of us had jobs or ways of getting money, right? So, but even then, you made more money, you used it for partying or dating someone, and then in the long run, you had a certain amount of money, this much still, not any more than you when you were younger, to buy albums. And you went out and you bought Tusk. And like I said, I thought Tusk was cool. I was 19 though when Tusk came out. So I'd left school, I'd moved to the big city, I had more income. Man, I can't say enough. And thank you for pointing it out again. We didn't have a lot of money. So Lumen, thank you. Douglas Struthers, Victim of Love, Elton, Mirage by Fleetwood Mac. In contrast to Tusk, Panorama by the Cars. That one I knew was going to come up. Because I bought that album and I remember going, what? I like it more now. That's the way things work, right? Lucha, Danzig, Black Acid the Devil. It was really bad. I used it as blank tape. I've done that too. Yes, I've done that too. Sweet Savage, nice to have you back, my friend. Guns N' Roses, Chinese Democracy. I knew that was going to come up. Mike M. Yeah, you said the same thing. Darren, Pop by U2. Good choice. Yeah, I wasn't the biggest U2 fan. You know, I have like their best of, that 2 CD set. A CD. Oh, yeah, CD. I said CD. Bah. I just finished doing Today in History for Tomorrow. And I don't do it live anymore, but I tape it live. So I taped it live and it was just a gobbledygook. It was just a mess. So for the first time, I've never had to do this. I had to bring it into Final Cut Pro. I think it was 15 minutes. And I just couldn't believe how many mistakes I made. Couldn't, and I still have to record my radio show after. So Michael Lewis says, hey, hello, happy Friday Night Live. The spaghetti incident. Yes, I knew that was going to come up. John at Village Advisory. Good Saturday morning from Melbourne, Australia. I'm a mad Neil Young fan. He is so diverse and disappointed, and that many disappoint. Oh, Trans to me was the one that I just got into radio. We were playing Trans, and I remember going, what? What's he doing? Kevin Lewis, ELP, Works Volume 2. Very much. I knew that would come up for sure. Radium Rickshaw, Rush, Clockwork Angels. Thank you. Darren says, Testify by Phil Collins. Yeah. David Smith, Oasis, Be Here Now. Blaine Cox, hi, John. The new Chicago album disappointed numerous listeners. I hate it. I don't mind. I've only heard 3 tracks. Don't Follow, Pink Floyd, The Final Cut. Yes. I expected even to hear more of that from this point on. Kevin Lewis, like Boston, Don't Look Back. More than the debut album. Kevin, we talked about that the other night. And a few people, I'm going to go. The last time I listened to it, I never really said this. I should have. The last time I listened to the first, but listen, I've listened to the first like a lot of you, probably way more times than the second. It was a better listening experience listening to Don't Look Back. Dun, 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 dun. This last time, a few days ago when I was listening to it, then the debut. Long time. Oh, man, I love that. From the debut still. Kiss Dynasty. Thank you, Mike M. Rick May. The Who by Numbers. The Who's Quadrophenia. Don't Follow, Rick May. Who by Numbers. Okay, I got that. Christian says, Journey's Generations album. I love Journey. The album just wasn't it. Manuel says, it's not exactly rock, but ABBA's Voyage lacked something. Yeah, true. Yeah, well said. I don't know what it was. I can put my finger on it because it sounds like ABBA. The girls sound exactly the same. The music's pretty much the same, but there was maybe too much sameness. I don't know what it is. Test of Echo, Rush, GDK, Opinionator, Up Close, Eric Johnson. Did I miss something there? Oh, Gary Mintz, love Steely Dan and love Fagan's Nightfly. Not a how do you say? I don't know if I've ever said that out loud. Kama Kiryad, yeah, Kama Kiryad. I think I have said it out loud. Chris says, King Crimson, Beat, Rush, Hold Your Fire, and Yes, Union. A lot of people. John Anderson thought there was some good stuff in Union, but he also thought it was a hodgepodge. Brandon Clevenger. Anything Journey has put out since Steve Perry left or got fired. Rick May, I liked Amagama. Be careful with that axe, Eugene. Or careful with that axe, Eugene. Mike M. Van Halen 3, oh my God. A few people the other day said Diver Down. Classic TV animator, The Long Run. I can understand that. The Long Run, I mean, listen, you all know this feeling. When you love an album, and I call that a homer, no matter what, you'll love everything they do. It's kind of like loving a politician sometimes. Even when they go wrong, you still love them. I always go, that's where you know you're on the wrong track. But everyone has that with TV shows, whatever. I was a homer for Elton John, but A Single Man came out, and I remember loving it. And I remember going, I love it, man. It's so great. He's changed a little bit. He's out there on his own on the album cover. But there was a part of me that had a sinking feeling. You ever get this? Where you're still saying you love it, but you're not really being honest with yourself. Because you're such a homer, no matter what the person, because he's been there for you, that artist or that group. They've been there for you thick and thin. No matter what, they were there. So what? They have a bad bounce? It's like your kids, you know what? They fall down, they scrape themselves. You still love them. They do something wrong, you still love them. They're like your kids. But A Single Man, after a little while, I had to admit the production was hollow. The songs, some of the songs sounded half finished, but there was something innocent about it that I still liked. But I didn't have that fervor for that album that I did for like Blue Moves or something, which a lot of people hated, or Rock of the Westies, which a lot of people hated. But everyone had that with being homers for a musician and saying, yeah, I love it. But inside, there's something not right. Your gut's telling you that it's not waking you up like the other ones did. And I wave my hands a lot. What? Yeah. So Amagama, I actually liked it, but I didn't like all of it, of course. There's a lot, it was a double album. Mike M, Van Halen 3, oh my God, so bad. The Long Run, thank you, JT Michelson. David Bowie's Tonight in 84. I just got into radio. I was into radio for a year. 16-year-old on the heels of, Let's Dance. That's right. I remember the album cover. KW Kid, Stone Temple Pilots, Tiny Music album. Fraser J, nice to have you back. John, how on earth does green screen cope with your shirts? I don't know, man. I don't know. I've got look right here. Look, I see through me. Ooh, that's trippy. There you go. Mike L. Hot Space by Queen. Yes, a couple of good songs. Vapor Trails, Rush, GDK. Craig Phillip, Peter Frampton follow-up to Frampton Comes Alive was a huge letdown. I have to admit, I was a homer for Peter Frampton. And I was so pleasantly surprised by Frampton Comes Alive, where I'm going, oh my God, it's a live album. I only know like a few of these songs from friends of mine. And like he starts it with Something's Happening. What a great song that was. It still is. The studio version of Something's Happening is good, but the live version has like, it's just plugged in with extra cylinders or something, or battery power. And then I'm In You comes out. Signed, Sealed, Delivered was good. I don't think he should have done I don't know. It was like he was running on 4 cylinders almost. I think that's what happens to artists sometimes when they get older. He wasn't old. He was still young then, but yeah, good one. Oscar says, any Deep Purple LP. I knew someone was going to do one of those. Oscar Campos. Frank Janiak, you've been here before. I'm In You was definitely made for A&M radio. Horrible. I didn't think it was horrible, but I just was let down. Dean Smith, Jethro Tull, Under Wraps. Rick May, Steely Dan's Everything Must Go. Some people said that about Two Against Nature, but I like Two Against Nature. I love the title song for Two Against Nature. I mean, it was just wacky. The beat of it. Hey, John from Sydney, Australia. Brandon Steele, how you doing, my friend? Ronald Wilson, Promised Land by Queensryche. Hike with Mike Def Leppard, Adrenalize. The last album with Steve Clark, after Steve Clark died. Hike with Mike, the first album after Steve died. My bad. Darren, GDK. Oh, Darren, you took down your comment. Dynasty by Kiss says H2 Oldfield. GDK says, a bit of a tangent, but I think about the fact that a lot of people thought Wish You Were Here was a letdown. Oh yeah, from Dark Side of the Moon. I love Wish You Were Here. I love it differently than Dark Side of the Moon because they're different animals. Get it? Different animal? Oh, that was an accident. Yeah, I love it differently. As with animals, there's I consider Pink Floyd albums sometimes children too, because there's just like Amagama. I remember someone put me in a room and put Careful With That Axe, Eugene on, turned off the lights and said, hey, just dig it. And I had a few beers and I was just, don't think I was high. And I just sat down on my friend Kendall's bed. Kendall and I moved out west together. His mother was my history teacher, Mrs. Howard. And we were like best friends, and we got girlfriends at the same time. When we moved to Edmonton, I met my ex-wife. I met my wife, my first wife, on the August 21st, 1979, when we moved to Edmonton. First night. I sometimes say, is that good luck or bad luck? But anyway, Kendall was the guy who said, hey, John, come on. I know you're starting to really get into Pink Floyd. So he says, sit down in the bed, have a beer, and I'm going to crank these up. So, it gets up to where you can hear, Careful With That Axe, Eugene, and then the scream comes on. And to this day, I have a soft spot for that song. Scared that I'm reaching for the light. I've never been in his bedroom before because he used to listen to music downstairs a lot. And I'm going, how do I It's pitch dark, and I'm scared to death. Yep. Mutineer Warren Zevon, Rick May. Russell White, Elton John, Blue Moves. So hyped waiting for it back in the day. So disappointed when it came out. Russell, to me, Blue Moves, I love Blue Moves, by the way. I just love, to this day, I love the drumming sound. That I don't know how Gus Dudgeon came up with it. But it was bouncy and big, even more so than Rock of the Westies. I like the diversity of the styles because Rock of the Westies was more rock, of course, hence the name. But Blue Moves was like some Rock of the Westies, but some disco, bite your lip. Hold on. Randy Collins. My inner voice just told me, shut up. Shut up. Go on a tangent. Hey, John, Pink Floyd, A Final Cut. That came up a few times already. Fraser J. Nightfly was the best album ever. I love the Nightfly. Man, Donald Fagen. That's a great album. Emmanuel Guzman. Onion has two big Trevor Rabin gems. Saving My Heart and Lift Me Up. Sorry. Rick May. Yes. Meatloaf, Dead Ringer. Too old. H2O Field. That's what it is. H2O Field. Engines of Creation by Joe Satriani. Sue Fields. Good Trouble by REO Speedwagon in 1982 was a letdown. After the great success of High Infidelity, 80-81. Hike with Mike. A lot of disappointment albums in the 80s, classic rock bands. To add new wave sound, yes. Tom says Hot Streets by Chicago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another one I wanted to. What's the first one without Terry Kath? I wanted to love it, and I told myself that I loved it more than I did because I was a homer for Chicago. I just loved Chicago. Darren says it's Geddy Lee's birthday today. It is. We did where worst Rush albums are mentioned in the chat. Well, I did a Today in History. It's disappointing to do a Today in History for the other channel because I should have combined everything on one channel. I don't know why I did that, but I came to a point of no return and I went, should I do Today in History on this channel right here, Rock History Music? By the way, in a few days, we'll reach 100,000 subscribers. Thank you. And again, if you want to support the channel, there's a PayPal link at the very top of the description, or else you can join our Patreon. But when I started doing Today in History, I thought Rock History Book was always meant to be a Today in History channel. We have to put it on there. But it's only getting like at 500 hits at best. When we're putting hours and hours of work into this Today in History on Rock History Book, our other channel. It's to a point where we're going to give it 3 months, and hopefully if each video gets approximately 1,000, which is still not enough, but we'll keep it going, because we really need to concentrate on our interviews, right? This is an interview channel. This is what we do best. Doug McGraw, a Coverdale Page. David Moon, Lord Such and Heavy Friends. I had to let the album sit in the bin for about 30 years. Now I love that LP. See? That's, yeah. The Who's newest album. The Saline 786, Disappointed Living on the Fault Line. I knew that was going to come up after Toulouse Street Captain and Me. Yeah, Minute by Minute. Well, Living on the Fault Line has grown on me, but that's another album that I pretended I loved more. Power Play by April Wine was like that, after Nature of the Beast. And April Wine's my favorite Canadian band. So after that, I pretended I loved it a lot more than I did. Oh, I'm gonna lose power. Hold on. Stay right there. I gotta plug in. GDK, the show has no host. The show has no host. What shall we do? What kind of show is this? There's no host. Hi, guys. Sorry. I didn't realize I went down. People think, oh, wait a minute. This is what kind of party is this? There's no host. Is that the new thing on YouTube? You just let it go. No host. Just do your thing. I'm not a homer for anything. I am loyal to truth. Mars, good for you, man. Supertramp, famous last words. Frank, of course. A watered down version of Breakfast in America, where Roger already had his sights to leave, to do In the Eye of the Storm, yeah. Kevin Lewis, The Firm Means Business, first album was great. Brandon Clevenger, remember being so let down by Huey Lewis and the News, Small World, and how great Sports and Four were from start to finish. They really were. Chris Freeman, CCR Mardi Gras, Fleetwood Mac Tusk. Thank you, Chris. Rick May, Jeff Beck Flash. Came out in 85 and it sounded like an 80s album. Russell White. Yep, a homer for Elton John myself. And like I said, Blue Moves was that moment for me. Funny you should mention Elton right after I posted about it just earlier. Gary Mintz, another one is George Harrison's Dark Horse. Good songs ruined by Harrison's hoarse voice. Beast Mode. Hey, John. How you doing, man? Floyd the Barber. Leonard Skinner. Give me back my bullets. Was a big letdown. Beast Mode. How's your night going? We're doing really well. Shannon's not here because Danica's having a bad night. It's hard on Shannon. She's the mother, and you have a 24-year-old autistic child who's a big, she's a beautiful girl, but she's like 5'8", 5'7", 5'8". And, when she's having a bad night, she's running through the house. And she's not quiet. And she has seizures, so we have to watch out for her. JDK says, GDK, this is probably pretty awful, but anything by Yes without John Anderson. I think you're not the only one who thinks that. I mean, I like some of their stuff without John, but I don't love it. Chris Snodgrass. John, did you interview some of the guys work or play with Bruce Springsteen? No, never have. Never have. Let me think. Nope. Oh, Kevin Hoover, the second Knack album. Yeah, I've heard that. I never bought it. I bought the first Knack album. Michael Lewis, Anthem of a Peaceful Army, Greta Van Fleet. They can definitely play. They do sound great. But it just didn't land on me. Floyd the Barber. Hey, Floyd the Barber, I was going to mention I'm With You, too. I don't know how you could follow up Frampton Comes Alive because you were learning, a lot of people were learning brand new songs. The majority of people who bought Frampton Comes Alive did not know those songs. It was a phenomenon because here you were listening to new songs on a live album, which it's usually the other way around. You get so used to the studio version that the live album sounds like a watered down version or is not the same or whatever. The personality is different on a live album. This was flipped. Where we learn, I'd heard something's happening before. I keep mentioning that song because that's my favorite song off the album. I Want to Go to the Sun, man. I was listening to that today in my car. The way it builds. Great song. Van Halen, Diver Down. Yeah, I read a few articles before I came on just to see what's the consensus of albums that do that to us, right? Beast Mode, I'm going to circle back, my favorite term, to Don Felder. The last two times he wasn't doing any interviews. Chris Freeman, any Black Sabbath post-Ozzy era? The first 10 were all great. David Ryder, Diver Down, is the least good, the first 6 Van Halen albums. That was on the list when I looked up one of the sites. Neil Young, Mirror Ball, from Living in Oregon. Hammond says, after the Superb album So and Us, Peter Gabriel, next one, Up, just did not do it for me. Rich Adderson, In Through the Outdoor was like betraying to me. Awful, all of my love, yeah. I like Carouselambra, though, the long song. You know, that song really did it for me. But I was able to, I don't know what I did, why I don't play the album a lot anymore. I don't. Yeah, All of My Love, I don't know. In the evening, I liked, starting the album. I didn't mind it. But I'll never forget the Berlin concert, their last concert with Bonham. It was their last concert as a band. And in the concert, if you've heard the bootleg, he probably says it in every show. I don't know if he did. He referenced the new album, and he says, we did some risky stuff on this new album. We did some really different things on this new album. I remember the crowd reacted. I not remember how, but I think they did, probably favorably. It's their party. But I don't know. I change my mind with it all the time. April Wine, Walking Through Fire. Yeah, I didn't like that one. But Power Play was the first one to me. I'm going, okay, this means Nature of the Beast was their high point, and that's fine. They've done really well for me at that point. Motley Crue, Generation Swine, Mike M, Tom Clark, Kevin Lewis, agreed. Kevin Lewis says Beach Boys, 15 Big Ones. Brian's Back Hype, 76, awful. I remember that. They had 2 hits off that album. Fraser J, Starting at the Sun, After Running in the Family, level 42. Mars, by the way, good channel. You have very personable and in-depth, I think you mean interviews. Keep on, right on. Def Leppard, Adrenalize. That's come up a few times tonight. Thank you, Mars. Tony A, second and third Boston albums. No one's mentioned the third yet. Again, you get trust with someone when you're young, and we're talking about albums that we were all at impressionable ages, right? And we don't have a lot of money. And as I mentioned when I was doing the Springsteen thing, and where you walk into a record store when you're young and you're excited, there's no internet, you don't know what you're going to find in there. You heard rumors, maybe in Rolling Stone magazine we'd read. I couldn't afford Rolling Stone all the time. An album's coming out on this date or whatever. But most of the time I walked to a record store before I was 19 years old, I didn't know what I was going to find in there. And I was on a limited budget. So when I bought an album with the little money that I had, and it wasn't very good, or it didn't sound like a band decided to rejig everything, I kind of went, no. Don't confuse me now. Don't change things. I don't buy your albums for that, right? It's kind of like when now and then I'll run into people and their favorite Elton John album, because it was the first album they bought, is Leather Jackets. And that's Elton John to them. And they don't, through osmosis, they would have heard all the other hits. But maybe they didn't pin, remember when we were young, you didn't pin the name of an artist to a song sometimes. You just go, oh, I like that song. You didn't know it was this person or that person. So yeah, Leather Jackets would be their favorite Elton John album. And for whatever reason, maybe that's what they wanted. But then they listen to the older stuff, hopefully, and they wake up. By the way, I like Leather Jackets now more than I ever did. Bad Company, Desolation of the Angels, Judas Priest, that's from Steve Bird, Kevin Wilson. Are you the Kevin Wilson that I know on Facebook? Judas Priest, Turbo. Kevin Lewis, Third Stage. Where's the bass? Yes! Yes! I had a friend who worked at a studio around the time CDRs came out, and he went in and put bass, and it sounded muddy though, a little too muddy. He put extra bass on Third Stage. Duke is like that. When I interviewed David Henschel, I was the producer. I said, look, what's going on with, and Then There Were Three is another one by Genesis. Any Boston without Barry Goudreau, Chris Freeman, speak English with this guy. Hey, nice to have you back, man. Pearl Jam, No Code. David Ryder, Genesis Mama, disappointed, but I saw the tour anyway. I hated And I don't hate a lot of Genesis songs. I could not stand Mama. I hated that song. It made me feel bad. It was just, I'm going, don't put me in that. Like, is this a horror film song? You know, I still hate that song. I like the music, but I don't like the way Phil sings. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was scared of the dark when I was young. I don't know what it was. It doesn't scare me. I just don't like it. David Ryder, I didn't know Bad Case of Loving You, Dr. Doctor, was a Robert Palmer for over 40 years. A lot of times we don't know. There's a subject. There's a subject we should do. Right there. Connecting songs and names. Yeah, that's a good. You came up with another one. I might do some this weekend. I don't know, because everyone's really busy on the weekend. Sometimes I don't want to do a live feed because I'm going, doing stuff, watching a movie. But who comes on, and maybe an opportunity for new people to come on to help us reach 100,000 subscribers. Again, if you want to support the channel, we're raising for. Thanks to you, we've raised half of a computer we need is $5,000. But we've raised over half of it thanks to you, because I can't afford to buy it. I can't. And thanks to you, the listener, through basically PayPal and a little with Patreon. But Patreon, they take their share, and it's very small amounts. But through PayPal, a lot of folks have really helped us out. So there's a PayPal link at the very top of the description of this video. Thank you. And I'll love you for it. One of our followers said, you know what? I just realized you've never asked for anything in 8 years. No, just for you to watch our videos. Morrow C, Boston's Walk On album. It's become a Tom Scholz extensive solo on organ. Yeah. Ha, I love Mama. Richard Buckley. A lot of people love Mama. I did the best Genesis songs of all time on Rock History Book. If you look up Rock History Book, Best Genesis or Top Genesis, you'll get the top albums based on votes. We had thousands of votes, and we based the top albums on the votes just the individual songs got. We did that for April Wine. We did that for Elton John. Randy Schiffer says, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, looking forward. Big Sky Duck, Chicago 13, 14, and 15. You got a point there. Darren says, John, it's funny you like Leather Jackets by Elton John. I really like it. It's always been one of my least favorites, but I like it more now than I ever liked it. Randy, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, American Dream. Calvin, Darkness on the Edge of Town. Horrible. I've always loved that album. Fraser J., the Black Album, Metallica. We mentioned that on Today in History because of a release that comes out tomorrow from Metallica, an anniversary. David Ryder, I like several songs off Mama, or you mean the self-titled album. I don't hate the album. I don't like the song, but it's just called Genesis. Brandon Steele, why? Was it called Mama in another country? Brandon Steele says you should 100% come on the weekends. Okay. Manassas 2, Tom Clark. Richard Wing. Hey, cool people. Please always go live. Thank you. Steve Bird. Good Sleeper album. Underlistened to. Joe Walsh. Oh, yeah, but seriously, folks. Don't get me started on But Seriously, folks. I love that album. Over and over. It's just, And the instrumental stuff is just amazing. Like crazy. Anyone who hasn't listened to But Seriously, folks, by Joe Walsh, please get that album. I mean, you could really see the Eagles thing, the vibe in there. But, nice. Kiss Psycho Circus has come up a few times, John Adams. Yep. Richard Wing. Oh, yeah, Steve, big Joe Walsh fan. Mike M. Triumph Sport of Kings was too poppy for me. Steve Bird. Right on, man. Ken 5244 Gaucho by Steely Dan. I loved Asia. You're not alone there. But I couldn't stand Gaucho. I gave it several listens, but no dice. Rick Emmett's Spiral Notebook was also a huge disappointment. Randy Schiffer, Souther Hillman Fury Band, Trouble in Paradise. I just talked to Richie Furay for the third time. that series is running now. I'm going to put another video tomorrow. Darren, oh, you're talking to each other. Okay, how many? Oh, I got to go record my show. Check out the Gaucho documentary from Fraser J. Very interesting. Oh, someone mentioned ELO. Hold on. Ben Patterson, I just can't get over the fact that Jeff Lynne's ELO doesn't sound like the classic ELO albums. Asia Aqua, Boston Walk On, Lewis Crow. Okay, folks, I gotta bow out. I gotta go record my radio show. I love you guys. Thank you for coming on. It's a competitive market what I'm doing. I'm humbled that we're going to reach 100,000 subscribers in the coming week or after the weekend. It means, listen, I'm just a radio guy who took a chance on YouTube and thought I'd give it a shot. It was a hobby in the beginning because my wife was working full-time selling new homes, and I was doing my radio show in Vancouver from Calgary. I'm in Moncton now. The majority of our audience is in the good old USA. The majority. When we had the streaming radio station, Rock History Music, 90% of our listenership was in the good old USA. Love that. That's because of what we were playing, right? So thank you very much. And so a lot of support there. We got a lot of support in Europe as well. But it means a lot to me. This is, I'm 62 years old now, and to be able to do this and enjoy it and work as hard as I am, because I've never worked this hard on anything in my life. So if you want to donate to help us get our computer, our new production computer, we're more than halfway there. It's a $5,000 computer. I don't have the money. I don't make that much on YouTube to do that. Anyway, there's a link at the top of the description for PayPal, and you can join our Patreon as well. Thank you. I feel a little mushy tonight, but thank you for hanging out with me. You don't have to. We're all busy, and there's lots of stuff going on, but I appreciate you. I really do. So take care of yourself. And yes, I think I'll try to come on tomorrow night. Maybe Shannon will come on with me. Happy Friday night.